I'm recording, and we're just going to do a test. So, guys, randomly talk.
I like pudding with sprinkles on it.
Who watches the Watch Me? Steven Hernandez does. That's me.
It's pretty funny, though.
I was recording that.
I don't mind if you post it. I want people to hear this.
Fuck Facebook.
Fuck Facebook!
Damn.
Stupid dead fetuses.
Fucking Mark Zuckerberg. The fucking social network was based on a true story. He is an asshole.
Hello, YouTube. I am Adam Noyes from Chopper Pilot 5.
I'm Zazubaar.
And this is Gorizard.
Yeah, Gorizard, you're joining us here on my channel for the first time. The man who uploads hardly anything original and does nothing but copyrighted material.
For the last 8 times. Still haven't learned my lesson.
Don't tell anybody.
Torrents? What torrents?
What copyright laws?
And today I'm actually giving in to a couple fans who have required this, at least on my channel. And they wanted, I can't remember the names off the top of my head, so I really apologize. I'll put your names in the info below. But they just wanted to know what my personal top 10 favorite Kaiju, or Godzilla Kaiju, are. And, you know, I thought, hey, that was pretty interesting. And so, you know, I was just like, hey, why don't I invite Zazubaar and Gorizard over, because I know they would be interested in doing something like this.
Indeed.
And, you know, I am not afraid to admit, I had a harder time compiling this list than compiling my top 10 favorite G-scenes.
Yeah, I agree. Do you guys ever get the sense that maybe it's because we can't include Godzilla in this, and maybe that's why it's harder?
I don't know, because, I mean, the title King of the Monsters automatically makes you #1.
Yeah, true. But when I think of my top 10 favorite G-scenes, like just from the movies, I instantly know, okay, it's got to involve Godzilla. This, it's like, okay, it can't involve him.
Yeah.
So I don't know, that's why I found this harder.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I mean, I personally think that you guys might actually be surprised with my list. Apparently yours, Zazubaar's, is pretty, sort of stereotypical.
Mine's a little straightforward, I'll admit. There are a couple of surprises here and there, and perhaps my reasons for some of them may be a little, I guess, non-stereotype, but I'll be the first to admit, mine are a little typical.
How about you, Gorizard?
I don't know if you would consider them typical. I think you would, because most of these monsters are pretty well known, as opposed to the unknown monsters like Baron, Gabra, and the Jaguar, I guess. But yeah, probably stereotypical.
Yeah. You're gonna need to speak up, Gorizard, because the static started getting in the way.
Alright, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Alright, well, my list is pretty stereotypical, I guess, because they're all pretty, quote-unquote, strong monsters, and, you know, I like a strong villain, so the majority of my list are strong monsters that have each given Godzilla a great challenge, so that's, my list is stereotypical.
Yeah.
Yeah, for this...
No, go ahead, Zazubaar.
Okay, which ones look cool, and which ones have a lot of cool powers?
Yeah, and I definitely have a couple on my list. I mean, I have one of them in there that's just pure nostalgia, but a couple of...
Me too.
I have it's actually my tied list. I just put them in there because they are so fucking cool looking. And the rest of them I genuinely put in there because I felt that these were genuinely not only cool looking monsters, but they also had great powers and so on and so forth. So I guess, let's go on with the list. So, the order will go Gorizard first, then Zazubaar, and then finally me. So go ahead, Gorizard. You're number 10.
Alright, my number 10 is a monster that was written for the script but was never used in the film. And I think you can count him as a Godzilla villain, Godzilla Kaiju. And it's the Griffin from the rejected Godzilla 94 script. First American Godzilla incarnation. The reason why I like the Griffin is because, well, it's such a badass villain. It's a mixture of all these different animals combined into one single super beast. And there's this one design that I love, and it's the one where the Griffin looks in more resemblance to a bat figure. Zazubaar, you've seen it before.
I indeed have, and that is one cool-ass looking monster.
Not only does the Griffin look badass and cool, but he also gives Godzilla a huge challenge. In the script, the Griffin throws these, I guess you could call them lightning bolts from the tip of his wings, and they're so powerful that they send Godzilla flying across the World Trade Center and knocking him out unconscious for like 5 minutes. And these are only his lightning blasters. What he does in a fist fight with Godzilla is very vicious. Think of it as a fight between a lion and a bear. Just throwing blows, scratching and gnawing. It's just pure savage force. And I don't know, this creature is so awesome, so badass. You know, it's a shame that it never made it to any Godzilla film.
Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't thinking about putting any monster that was not in a Godzilla movie, but was going to be in a monster movie, because if I was thinking of that, I would have put the devil in there. But sorry. To be honest, I haven't read the script. I mean, I've only seen pictures of the Griffin. To be honest, I don't really like the Griffin. Don't shoot me, but just hasn't really interested me. But that's an interesting pick. I didn't think it was that powerful. Thanks for pointing that out, Gorizard. I didn't think it was that powerful.
Oh yeah, they created the Griffin because, you know, they assumed that the fans wanted Godzilla to fight another monster, and, you know, obviously we do want that. But, you know, they were gonna go with King Ghidorah after Toho refused to let TriStar create their own monster. But the initial monster that Godzilla was supposed to fight was the Griffin, and it would have been a badass monster, you know, to join up the ranks of Godzilla's enemies. And I recommend you to read the script as soon as you can, because it's a really good script.
I will have to do that.
It's more faithful than the 1998 Godzilla.
Well, that's a monstrosity. We all can at least accept that.
No offense to the 94 script, but that's not that hard to accomplish.
So, Gorizard, you're number 10.
Wait, didn't I just name my number 10?
I'm sorry. Zazubaar, you're number 10.
Adam, my mother named me, not you. Alright, my number 10 is, as I said before, kind of a nostalgic one. My number 10 is Orga from Godzilla 2000. And that's pretty ironic since Adam, me and you were talking about Godzilla 2000 before we started recording. I like Orga for a variety of reasons, but I'll admit that the thing that's always stuck with me about Orga is the fact that he's a clone of Godzilla, and a messed up clone of Godzilla. I don't know, for some reason I've always found it to be a really cool idea, really fascinating, and I also like the idea of aliens trying to create their own Godzilla, and that's why Orga's so cool to me. But even cooler still is he's just pretty damn cool looking, and very much so one of Godzilla's most unique enemies. He's hunched over, he's got a weird looking mouth, he shoots an energy blast out of his shoulder. It's really cool. He's certainly more flexible than a lot of Godzilla's other enemies, and you wouldn't assume that just by looking at him, but when you watch the movie, he's certainly more flexible than he looks. He's able to jump around, he's able to bash Godzilla around, and what I really like is that they somehow made Orga look like the Godzilla 2000 design, kind of, but it still like its own thing. And it didn't feel like it was just some lazy way of introducing a monster for Godzilla to fight in the last 10 minutes of a movie. Orga's very cool. I love his premise. I love the way he looks, and I love the way he fights.
I would just like to bring up that they actually, I think the people who created the design for Orga did this on purpose. If you look at the head and the neck of Orga, it looks suspiciously like the '98 Godzilla.
I never thought of that.
Well, you know, to be honest, Orga looks like a combination of the 1998 Godzilla and Predator.
Yes. Actually, they bring that up in the audio commentary, too, on the DVD.
Especially with the mouth opening thing. Oh, yeah, Predator for sure. And Alien, even.
Yeah, I was thinking more Alien than Predator, but I can see Predator as well.
Yeah, I love Orga, and, one thing also, and you can only tell this when they start to use CG to show when he's turning into Godzilla, is that when he starts to take on more of Godzilla's features, his skin glows green.
Yeah.
Now again, you can only get this through the CG, but that Godzilla is supposed to be green, even though you can barely tell. So I really like that touch. And I also like, I'll bring this up quickly, how when he starts to grow spines, they're more curvy and alien looking than Godzilla's actual spines. I always thought that was cool as a kid.
Yeah, definitely. So, my number 10. My number 10 is actually, I think you guys are going to be surprised with this. My number 10 is King Kong.
Oh, I didn't know we were counting him.
Oh, you didn't?
Oh, I would have put him on here. No, I'm kidding. Go ahead.
Well, I put King Kong on here simply because he is like the complete opposite of Godzilla. Now, let's look at it. Godzilla is a mutation created by atomic energy. King Kong is truly organic. He was born the way he was. And that's what's so cool. And he's so opposite. Instead of him being more, more that destructive force, Kong actually, it seems more like he's deliberately, and I do this in my Godzilla book as well, Kong is like trying to steer away from destroying things, most of the time anyways, while Godzilla is deliberately destroying things. Another thing that I would like to mention is that Godzilla is really big and bulky and can't really move around that quickly, while Kong can, and I really like that. I mean, there's not really much to say here about King Kong, but I had to put it on there for that reason. And out of like all the enemies that Godzilla has fought, this is by far one of the coolest ideas ever. Two pop culture icons just duking it out in one epic battle is pretty awesome. And just even the premise of King Kong versus Godzilla is something that would put any giant monster fan to the point of having like a friggin' orgasm. So yeah, that's my number 10.
Guilty as charged. Yeah, and that's one of the things I love about that fight is they totally juxtaposed Kong and Godzilla with Kong being more flexible, Godzilla being more, I'm gonna shoot you with my atomic breath, while Kong's trying to be more, close range combat. I really like that about it.
Okay, so let's go on to our number 9, Gorizard. What's your number 9?
My number 9 is another kaiju that never made it to the movies. It's Bagan. Bagon, however you want to pronounce it. Bagan never made it to a Godzilla film, and he initially was created for the Heisei Godzilla films. And I forgot the history behind it, but I know it was supposed to be...
Wasn't he supposed to fight Mothra back in 64?
Yeah, when they didn't pull through with Godzilla, they decided to save him for Mothra, but that didn't go through either. But eventually he made it towards the Super Nintendo game Super Godzilla, which is where I was first introduced to Bagan. Bagan is such a very powerful monster based on the one I played in Super Godzilla. In the game, Bagan is basically like the equivalent of Space Godzilla and Destoroyah, their powers, I think, combined into one. He is such a powerful monster that Godzilla has to turn into a super monster in order to defeat him. He can't defeat Bagan as the normal Godzilla. iconic look. Baggin is actually an alien. Those of you who didn't know. I love the whole demon aspect of Baggin because he looks very, very threatening and very, very menacing. He truly looks like a creature that gives Godzilla a huge challenge, and he does in the video game. Now, if he could give Godzilla as much damage in the game, I wonder how much damage or destruction Baggin would cause in a movie. I'm actually looking at the picture right now. Baggin Godzilla on the whole. He looks like a god almost, like something you would expect from Clash of the Titans.
He's cool looking for sure.
Yeah, I was actually going to say, he looks a lot like Destroyer.
Well, he does,
Yeah, he does.
Probably the story was the inspiration for that.
That's what I think.
Baggin looks a little bit more cooler than Destroyer, in my opinion.
One thing I heard, I don't know how true this is, but I heard it somewhere, through the bowels of the internet. Wasn't Bacon at one point supposed to be like a genetic cross between Godzilla and King Ghidorah?
I never heard that before.
Now, you see, I would actually like that premise more than the alien.
I've always been fascinated by that. That's one thing I remember reading somewhere. I found that really fascinating.
I never heard that before, but yeah, that kind of sounds, yeah, it does sound more interesting than the whole alien aspect.
So, Zazubaar, how about your number 9?
My number 9. For those of you who might follow my channel, you may know that I am not a big fan of the film Godzilla vs. Space Godzilla. True, but I gotta admit, Space Godzilla is really cool looking, and I like the premise of him. The film's quality really doesn't have anything to do with the monster here, and that's a very rare occasion. Space Godzilla is really interesting because he brings up an idea that the Heisei series really tried to explore with a couple of its monsters. Godzilla's impact on the world, and in this case, the galaxy. Godzilla cells floating off into space and creating a space version of Godzilla is really cool. I like that premise because I think it's very indicative of what Godzilla's supposed to represent with the whole idea of radiation not just affecting a select group of people, but spreading. And I think doing that with G cells is really cool and very fitting for that continuity. So I really like that about him. But also, he's really cool looking. I love the crystal thing. I think it's very interesting. I like that he's not just Godzilla with ability to fly. I like that the whole crystal thing is used to its full extent, that he's able to absorb energy and expel it back out. And when I look at him, again, he only appeared in one movie, but when you look at that design, you guys also get the sense that that was the inspiration for, or at least a little bit, for the Millennium Godzilla?
To be honest, I never did.
I mean, just with like the head. The head looks a lot more like the 2000 Godzilla than the 90, what was it, 90?
Yeah, I will agree with that.
I love the spines, I like how they're crystals, and overall, he's just really cool looking. I just wish he was in a better movie.
I would agree with that. I think, he's not in my top 10. The actual reason why he's not in my top 10 is he would be if he had a different roar. I hate his roar.
Yeah, I agree. His roar is kind of annoying. He wrote a live with it, I think, in that movie, but yeah, I think they should have given him something a little more creative.
I like his deeper roar.
His deeper roars were cooler. You're right there, Gorizard. But I mean, his regular roar was annoying.
I remember, didn't it start with another monster? Like, I thought they just recycled it from somewhere.
No.
Oh.
That was an original roar. Batra's was a stock roar, but
Yeah, that was roar.
Alright, so my number 9. My number 9 is major, it's pure nostalgia. Hedora-Hedra the Smog Monster from Godzilla vs. the Smog Monster. I never thought I'd see a walking pile of shit and have it really cool. The reason why it's on this list is because the biggest reason why it's on this list is because, again, it's from my first Godzilla movie, and I remember being scared shitless watching that thing. I mean, the thing that I noticed especially was this, is that it doesn't even remotely have like a human form. It's so scary. Even when it flies over people, and I'm talking about all forms, when it flies over people, it turns them into bones. That's friggin' scary, and it has those piercing red eyes that I love. And it's just friggin' scary. Of course, it doesn't scare me anymore. But something else that I really like about it is, really, I like its roar. Its roar definitely, it doesn't sound organic. It sounds, I don't even know how to describe it, but it sounds like, I guess, like sludge, if sludge had a noise. So
it does, Adam, it does.
There's just, it's hard to even explain why I like Hedorah other than the pure nostalgia. And I mean, that fucking monster is scary looking, especially if you're a kid looking at that thing. Especially the scene where you see it in its walking form for the first time, and Godzilla's walking towards it, and you just see it slowly appear. You just see its red eyes, but it slowly appears out of the darkness into the frame of the camera. One of the scariest scenes in Godzilla history, in my opinion.
I saw Hedorah when I was a little kid on the Sci-Fi Channel. The first time I saw it,
You're going to need to speak up, Gorizard. I'm sorry.
Oh, you hear me now?
Yeah.
First time I saw it, was when I was a kid on the Sci-Fi Channel. 20 minutes into the movie, I just stopped watching it because it was just too scary for me. And 2 years later, I finally got the balls to finish watching it, and then I found out, hey, it's not so bad. Because when I first saw it, Hedorah was killing these people. It was pretty scary to me because I didn't like that kind of monster violence when I was a kid. So I hated King Kong Lives.
Oh, don't bring that up. This is a happy place, Gorizard. Hedorah's cool. Adam, you brought up how he's not in the humanoid form, and that's one thing I always liked about it. I like how he's hunched over and it almost, he doesn't actually in the movie, but it almost looks like he's falling apart and drooping, what he's made of is drooping down.
Yes, and I like that. I love that. And you know, something else that I would actually like, this is actually a monster that I could actually really picture Toho doing something like a remake and putting it in CG. Hedorah would look really good in CG.
Oh yeah, totally. And you could play him serious, that's the other thing. I mean, that's a pretty silly movie, but you could play that monster very seriously.
And the thing is, I actually like it how they don't really explain his origin at all.
Yeah, well with him you don't really need to.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's just, to me it just adds that even more fright to it than if he had an origin. Because you don't know where this thing came from. And it could come out, it could come again.
And he was supposed to.
Yeah. As a radio newscaster said, bullets just go through the thing. Okay, so that's my number 9. So, Gorizard, you're number 8.
My number 8 is also a nostalgic kaiju, and it's King Caesar. he looks silly on Final Wars, but on Mechagodzilla 1, it's just pure badass. It's just cool the way you fight. He's too fast, and that's what I like about him. The first time I saw Mechagodzilla when I was a kid, I was like, this is a really fucking cool monster, because he's fighting against Mechagodzilla with full-on brute force. He's really fast, and sometimes you can tell he's using a little bit of kung fu. He's just a really cool monster. And on top of that, he can play soccer.
Yeah.
Plus, I don't know if this is kind of hypocritical, but I like his roar. I know it's a recycled version of King Kong's roar, but
that's what I love about it.
They made a few tweaks to the roar, I think.
Yeah, they did. To me, I think they actually, instead of using Kong's, I think they used a mixture of Kong and Sonda's roar.
Yeah, that's the the one I always thought. But Kong, too, for sure.
Yeah, King Caesar is just he's a really awesome monster. He's badass. He's like the, I want to say he's like the Bruce Lee of Kaiju movies. I mean, Kaiju, but...
Oh, no, he is.
I might probably see.
Interesting bit of trivia. He was played by Bruce Lee. No.
No, not even kind of.
I like the whole lion design of King Caesar. At first, when I first saw the film, I had no idea what he was at all. So I debated with myself, what is King Caesar? Then I found out that he was like the inspiration or incarnation of a giant lion. So I was like, oh, that kind of makes sense because he's got all this fur around his chest. And I was wondering, is he just hairy? Is he a hairy monster? Yeah, that's my number 8, King Caesar.
Yeah, and I just want to say I hate him in Final Wars, but in Mechagodzilla 1, he's so cool. Any monster that wakes up with an explosion gets an A in my book. And I love his eyes in Mechagodzilla 1. They're crystals.
I do too.
And they glow red, and they just look cool.
I also love the fact that he can reflect beams from one of his eyes.
Yeah, and I like that.
Yeah. I always thought that was cool too, and it fit in with the statue thing. Because remember, the statue itself could also do that.
Yeah.
And that's how King Caesar gets released.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, he almost made this list, but I had other people I wanted to put on. Well, not other people, other monsters I wanted to put on here. But if I was to put him in an honorable mention section, I would put him in there because he's so nostalgic.
Yeah.
And so cool looking. And I actually really liked his and Godzilla's partnership. Did it make any sense? No, but it was cool.
Yeah. So, Zazubaar, you're number 8.
My number 8. Speaking of Mechagodzilla, here's his partner in 1975. My number 8 is Titanosaurus. I love Titanosaurus. Again, this is partially a nostalgia thing, but overall, he's just a cool monster. What I like about him is he's a very versatile kind of character. And I know he only appeared once, but I could believe him being used in a totally different movie with a totally different setup. He's just so versatile. Looks so freaking cool. And has one of the most memorable roars of any Godzilla monster I've ever heard. I love his roar so much. And his brief scuffle with Godzilla in the middle of Terror of Mechagodzilla, excuse me, is one of the coolest moments in monster movie history for me. I put it on my top 10 favorite Godzilla scenes with you, Adam. And he's part of it. I love the way he fights Godzilla. I love the windstorm thing. And I like the idea of him being kind of representation of nature being kind of raped by science. With him being this very peaceful monster, or at least a monster who never really bothered humans, and being turned into a cold-blooded killer by science. I always liked that about Terror of Mechagodzilla, and about Titanosaurus himself. And quickly, I love the first scene where he's kind of introduced, where he attacks the sub, because you don't see him. You just hear that audio recording of, it's a giant fish! No, it's not a fish, it's a dinosaur! And then you hear his roar, and then everyone dies.
Yes. The word epic. The word epic comes to mind.
Indeed it does.
Titanosaurus appears later in my list, and then I'll get more into my opinions on him there. So I guess on to my number 8. My number 8 is a tie between Megalon and Gigan. And the reason why I put them on number 8 list is because Megalon and Gigan make the same appearance in one movie, so I said, hey, why not just put them in there? And you know what? The only reason why I friggin' put them on there, or for the most part, the biggest reason, is because they look cool. Despite Godzilla vs. Gigan and Godzilla vs. Megalon being some of the two worst Godzilla movies ever made, even though I think Godzilla vs. Gigan is slightly underrated, I think Gigan looks cool. I never thought I'd say a robot chicken would be cool. And I have to say, Megalon is the same case. The scene where Megalon destroys the dam and the bridge are some of the best visual effects I have ever seen for a Godzilla movie. And it's in one of the worst Godzilla movies. And it's too bad because Megalon, I honestly say, he looks genuinely real in that scene. Megalon's design is really cool. I like how he just like randomly spits out grenades or... I don't even know how else to say it other than he just spits out bloody grenades. But But Gigan is awesome because he has a random like a chainsaw chest. Overall, just two very awesomely designed monsters. Really outlandish, but they're awesome at the same time. And their roars are really good. I love their roars.
I shall discuss Gigan later. But Megalon, I don't know, Megalon always struck me as the response to Gigan because Gigan got pretty generally good praise from, Godzilla fans speaking of cool-looking monsters, so I don't know, I kind of get the sense that that's why he looks like the way he does, because he kind of looks similar to Gigan with the whole, some sort of melee weapon on his arms.
Right.
And overall, he kind of looks similar, but he is certainly cool looking. He's not on my list, but I don't know, maybe an honorable mention for me. I was just never a big fan of him. But again, I will discuss later.
So, on to number 7. Gorizard, number 7.
My number 7 is probably one that you might never expect me to choose. And it's Monster X from Final Wars.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Monster X. He's just, the feelings I have about Monster X are basically the same feelings I have about King Caesar. He's just a badass monster in terms of design and his character. Because Monster X, he pulls off like these martial arts moves on Godzilla from time to time. I always found that really cool. Like that whole leaping into the air and doing a spin attack on Godzilla with his fist and his tail. I found that very, very, very cool for a kaiju. I never seen that before. Not even on King Caesar. And the ability to lift Godzilla in a mercy match, how badass can you get? Not many monsters are able to lift Godzilla up in a mercy battle.
You said that, but okay.
But yeah, he has such a cool design and awesome roar. He's a really badass villain.
He's in my honorable mentions.
I was going to say, he actually does have a very similar body build to King Caesar.
Yeah. And it's a little fun fact, the actor in Final Wars who played Monster X also played King Caesar in
Yeah, it shows. It definitely shows.
I think the reason why he's so similar to King Caesar is because the director of Final Wars was a huge fan of King Caesar. And that's why Caesar's in that movie.
Well, his favorite movie was Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla.
Yeah. And I heard him say in an interview that his favorite kaiju was King Caesar.
Yeah, mine too. But, yeah, Monster X, he's such a badass monster, and before the release of Final Wars, I heard that Monster X was supposed to be Godzilla's long-lost brother, but that was like an early speculations kind of thing. What the fuck? Yeah, I'm serious. I heard from TokyoMonsters.com that he was supposed to be Godzilla's long-lost brother. So initially I expected Monster X to look something like Godzilla, but it ended up being a newer version of King Ghidorah.
The end of the world is really coming.
Oh, it is, indeed.
Monster X was my number 7.
Yeah, he's in my honorable mentions, and it's mostly just because I think that fight with Godzilla is really cool. I think it's a little silly, but Final Wars is silly anyway, so who cares? Yeah, so that's why he's in my honorable mentions. I just think he's really cool looking, and he's got a decent battle with Godzilla that's a little silly, but I like the drama of it all.
So Zazubaar, you're number 7.
My number 7. Alright, so here's the thing. There was a particular another monster in the Godzilla franchise who is oftentimes made fun of by us Godzilla fans. And that particular kaiju would be Mothra. Mothra is quite possibly the most picked on and made fun of monster in the franchise because she's a little silly. She dies in every movie she appears in. She is a giant moth, is whimsical, and is worshipped / communicated with by 2 cute little fairies. Emphasis. Yeah, that's but the thing that I really, really like about Mothra is that she truly is representative of nature, nature's balance. And when you hit that balance, Mothra gets pissed off, so she goes and destroys stuff. And I like that about her. I like that she isn't destructive, but she can.
Hold it, you guys are cutting out like really bad.
Oh damn, are we?
Right now I think it's because of Gorizard static.
Damn it!
How about now?
Better. Go ahead and speak. Just continue where you left off, because I mean you can understand that you were just starting to cut out a lot.
Alright, so Mothra's kind of representative of nature in balance, and when you tip that balance, you know, nature gets pissed off, so Mothra gets pissed off. And I like that about Mothra, that she can be destructive, but she isn't. And, you know, I really like that. It's kind of like the nice guy who bottles up all his emotions, and then once you really piss him off, he goes crazy. And of course, we see that in the original Mothra, and comes close to it in Tokyo SOS. And I really like Mothra also because in my opinion, she is the antithesis to Godzilla, who represents anarchy and destruction, and she represents peace and harmony. And that's why I always loved their rivalry. They're two sides, or not two sides, they are the complete opposite of each other, and that's why I always thought they worked well as enemies. Is she silly because she's a moth? Sure, but you know, I think that she has the potential to be destructive, and when she is, it's awesome.
Yeah, Mothra isn't on my top 10. She's definitely in my honorable mentions because what the hell kind of list would there be without Mothra? But
of course.
I don't really like Mothra, but the one movie that I love her in, especially in terms of Godzilla, because I mean the original Mothra she's pretty awesome in, but on all the movies where she's in with Godzilla, most of the time she's pretty generic. But the only movie that I can literally say this is when Mothra is cool is, of course, the original Mothra versus Godzilla.
Indeed, my friend, indeed.
She's fucking badass in that movie.
Yeah, I mean, if she was at full power, I'm not saying she would have killed Godzilla, but I think she would have come close.
She would have won, yeah.
I think so. I mean, I also think that it's a much more dynamic fight than we had gotten in the Godzilla franchise at that point. I mean, we had Godzilla fight a 4-legged dinosaur, and then we had him fight a giant ape. But then we had to have him fight a flying monster. I think that's really cool and dynamic.
Yeah.
So that's my number 7.
Alright, so my number 7 is Titanosaurus. Again, I have to just agree with everything that Zazubaar said. His design's cool. His roar is cool. And actually one thing that I love about his roar is that it really sounds aquatic. And I love that. And
sounds like whale's echolocation.
Yes, I would agree with that. Just so cool of a monster. In fact, that is Titanosaurus. It sounds bad to say, but it makes sense. The reason why Titanosaurus is in my 3rd Godzilla movie is because he is so underused. And he is so cool. Sure, he made it in a couple video games. So what? He was only in one friggin' movie, and that movie tanked.
True.
So, that's my number 7. It's a quickie, because it was already explained in detail by Zazubaar. So you guys don't get to hear my sexy voice as much as on number 7.
Damn it.
So, Gorizard, you're number 6.
Mine's gonna be a quickie too, because my number 6 is Orga. I mainly like Orga because
the punch.
the design is very badass. After like too many updates of Godzilla's classic foes like King Ghidorah and Mothra and Mechagodzilla in the Heisei series, it was pretty nice to see a new change of pace in his enemies. And Orga was a very original design that Toho made for a new kaiju. I also like his huge arms and how lethal they are. Like that one scene where he raises his what was it, his right arm? It just hits Godzilla straight up in the nose.
Yeah.
I love those hands. They're so cool.
Yeah. I think I forgot to mention this, Zazubaar, but also that beam that's attached to his shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
We forgot to mention it. I like how it doesn't blast out of his mouth. It blasts from his shoulder. I never seen that on a Kaiju.
Yeah. I did bring that up, but yeah, it is cool looking. And very original.
Yeah, I think Orga's a very cool monster in general. He's not on my list, but he's definitely in the honorable mentions.
So let's move on to the top 5.
Oh no. My number 6?
Yeah.
Alright, so my number 6 is again kind of a nostalgia thing, but as Adam said with Mothra, where would a list be? But my number 6, Anguirus.
Haha.
Come on, he's the first monster Godzilla ever fought. He's gotta be here somewhere. And besides that, he looks really cool and has a really awesome roar. I think it was always a missed opportunity to make him Godzilla's pal. Since I always thought Godzilla should be kind of a solo creature, but he's cool in that regard that he was always so close to Godzilla. But also, I like the way he fights. He's certainly different than his two-legged counterpart. Because, again, he's four-legged, he's got spikes everywhere, whereas Godzilla's just got spikes on his back. And in Final Wars, I actually kind of like the soccer ball thing. I think it's kind of cool. Is it silly? Yeah, but I think it's pretty cool looking. And it looks like something Anguirus could do. Really not a whole lot to say about Anguirus. I really like his roar. I think it's very haunting. I think it's got that quality to it. And I mean, it's the first monster Godzilla ever fought, so certainly has a nostalgic bend to him. So that's Anguirus for me.
Yeah, I gotta say right now, the next two on my list are what a lot of people consider to be Godzilla's best friends. My number 6 is Rodan. I love Rodan. Everything about Rodan I love. And you know, one reason why I actually like Rodan a lot is his character. He fucking hated Godzilla at first. Fucking hated Godzilla at first. They were always fighting and shit like that, but then all of a sudden Mothra brings Godzilla and Rodan together, and look, they become pals. I mean, just look at the next movie. They become pals.
Batman and Rodan.
I just love it, and the design of Rodan is so cool. Rodan, just an awesome monster. Not much to say, but an awesome monster. Sure. When he's with Godzilla, he doesn't look too good. I'm gonna be honest. Well, he doesn't look as good. I mean, in his own movie, Rodan looks genuinely frightening. But I don't mind his design in the Showa series. I don't mind his design in the Heisei series, but I fucking hate his design in Final Wars.
Yeah, I didn't like the one in Final Wars either. He was way too small.
In fact, I'm gonna bring this up on my number 5, but I hate just about all the monster designs in Final Wars.
I like Anguirus's.
Just wait. Okay. So, I'm gonna
get myself teared into.
Basically, if you've seen my opinions on the 04 Godzilla suits, on the Godzilla suit, you're going to hear that same exact speech again. Okay, so on to number 5, Gorizard. Go for it.
Top 5. My number 5 is Destoroyah.
Yeah!
Damn it, you stole mine.
Well, for obvious reasons. Yeah, he looks so fucking badass. He looks like the devil. Like, a much more cooler version of the devil. And, I don't know, there's something about about that design that I just love. There's this photo on the internet of Destroyer standing over the nuclear power plant where he first appears. Of course, I'm talking about the adult Destroyer, and he just looks so evil. It's really the embodiment of a villain. And I can't believe that they managed to create something so evil with a rubber suit. Normally with something like this, you would expect to accomplish it with CGI, but it really works with the rubber suit. It's so menacing, it's so frightening, it's just badass. And also, his powers are just awesome. The whole katana thing on his head, the horn, which he uses to slice Godzilla's arm, the whole oxygen beam. Everything about him is just so cool. The way he uses his tail to drag Godzilla to the ocean, badass, just pure badass.
I can't really speak about Destroyer because he's coming up on my list, but I will agree with you on everything. But when we get to my... You know, I'm just going to say it now, because by the time I start talking about it, I'm going to completely forget about it. It is Destroyer, not Destroyer. Like how friggin...
Oh, I always roll me nuts.
It does. It drives me fucking nuts. It is Destroyer, not Destroyer. God damn. God damn. Okay, so I can't really say anything else about Destroyer.
Yeah, Gorizard, you telepathically read my mind, buddy. That indeed is my number 5 as well. Now, I would put Destroyer on this list for the same reason I would put Doomsday on my top 5 favorite list of Superman villains. You bring in the monster that eventually, well, he doesn't really lead to the death of Godzilla, but he's involved. I gotta put him somewhere in there. Destroyer is just beastly. He is so huge, so immensely powerful. I mean, he's bigger than Godzilla. And I mean, you have that with King Ghidorah too, but I'll get to that later. But Destroyer, of course, like, you really took the words out of my mouth because he looks like the devil, and that's so cool looking. And you know, I don't really have a lot to say about Destroyer. I just think he's really cool looking. I love the fact that he's born out of the opposite thing of Godzilla. That he was born out of the thing that killed Godzilla, the original Godzilla. I love that about him. I think it's really interesting. I think it's a really cool way to have Godzilla's final opponent be something like that, and I think it's really cool.
I would also like to mention this, because I'm not going to bring it up when I start talking about Destroyer. They actually stole, speaking of him looking like the devil, they actually stole a couple concept arts of Godzilla vs. the Devil and used it as Destroyer.
That doesn't surprise me.
Because I've seen a couple concept arts of what they wanted the devil to look like. Looks suspiciously like Destroyer.
Yeah.
Except less massive, but it looks suspiciously like Destroyer.
Yeah, and again, there's also some Doomsday in him, which I love.
So, guess what? I'm the one oddball out of the crew. My number 5 is Anguirus. Love Anguirus. Major... I just love Anguirus. And you know what? Part of the reason why I like him so much is because he is literally, I think, Godzilla's best friend. Especially in Godzilla vs. Gigan. I just love them two working together. It's just so funny. And I just wanted to say, I like pretty much all of his designs in the Showa series. He looks so evil in Godzilla Raids Again. He looks awesome in Godzilla Raids Again. There's no denying that. And his roar is so haunting. It almost sounds like he's in agony and pain every single time that he roars, and I love it. And then comes his appearance in the Millennium.
Riot shields up, boys.
What the fuck is wrong with the suit makers on that movie? They messed up Godzilla. They messed up King Caesar. They messed up Rodan. They messed up Well, they can't really mess up Spyga, but for some reason I don't really like Spyga in that movie.
Spyga at all, in general.
God damn, that suit is ugly. They got everything wrong. Its face is too short and too narrow. Its body is too fat. Its spikes are not well proportioned. Its tail is not well proportioned. And the fact that it can roll up into a stupid ball, like a soccer ball, and just roll over everything. So lame. So lame. I don't even think they got the coloration right. He's not supposed to be blue. He's supposed to be charcoal gray, if not black. So there's my complaint. But I love Anguirus overall. And, you know, to steal a quote from Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 1, something's wrong. Anguirus shouldn't be attacking his friend Godzilla. Love that line. And actually, you know, part of the reason why I put Anguirus on my number 5 list is actually it's a fan-made thing. And it's like a stop-motion video, and it's called Godzilla and His Amazing Friends.
Love that show.
And there's a scene where this monster just basically took a bullet for Godzilla, and Godzilla just sort of breaks down. And then all of a sudden Anguirus walks over and puts one of his paws on Godzilla's shoulder. And the thing is, I could picture it. I could picture it happening in a Godzilla movie. Anguirus and Godzilla are pals. I mean, they were bitter enemies, clearly, in Godzilla Raids Again, but then they become pals. And I just like that. I like that a lot. And you get a lot of it in, especially in Destroy All Monsters, where Godzilla's sort of leading all of them, which I really like. So that's my number 5. Judging by the silence, either Zazubaar has killed himself because of the opinion on the suit in Final Wars, or he's just so dumbfounded by my awesomeness.
It's the first one.
There's blood all over the ground.
Me and Adam will have our fist fight over Final Wars one day, but not tonight.
Not tonight. Hate Final Wars. Okay, so on to number 4. Gorizard, what's your number 4?
My number 4 is Mechagodzilla. It's hard to choose which one, whether the original or Mechagodzilla 2 or Kaiju, but I'm gonna have to say it's gonna be a tie between all 3 of them, because I just love each Mechagodzilla as their own. But so difficult. I'm just gonna be nostalgic and choose the original Mechagodzilla, because, you know, I love a good villain, and the original Mechagodzilla is a very good villain. He is unstoppable. He is literally a walking war machine, and he has all these powers. He has these laser beams, these bullet missiles attached to his nails, his knees, he has this laser beam attached to his chest, these eye laser. He's just a war machine incarnate. He's more badass than the newer Mechagodzillas on all scales. And on top of that, he's a good villain.
Yeah, I like him as a villain too.
Oh yeah.
I just think they did it more often.
He's coming up later on my list, so I can't really talk about him.
Same here.
But great pick. I guess I could say that.
Indeed, my good friend. Indeed.
Next, Zazubaar, go.
Alright, my number 4, right? Yeah, my number 4. My number 4 is Gigan. Finally. I had to put Gigan here. He's appeared in... he's never really had a grand film that I would call fantastic film to appear in, even Final Wars. It's not really his main movie, but anyway. But Gigan is just so freaking cool looking that I had to put him on here. He's so I love the claws thing. I think that's a really good way to fight Godzilla, because again, Godzilla's supposed to be this long-range kind of combatant. I mean, he can fight close quarters, but I mean, that beam of his is really the thing that he usually uses to beat his enemies. I mean, of course, there's exceptions, but it's usually the main thing. So I like the idea of him having an enemy that's going to come in close quarters and, cut him up. Of course, Gigan's just really cool looking. As Adam said earlier, I never thought I'd like a mechanical chicken, but I do. So, kill me, but I do. He's just so freaking weird looking that it's cool. And, Gorizard, you and I talked about this in our Godzilla chat we did a while back, but, he just looks like a badass cyborg. And I'm a sucker for badass-looking cyborgs, and he's up there with the best. He's just really cool looking, and wish he was used more often. And my favorite design of him is the Final Wars design. I just think that that film knew to bring out more of the cyborg aspects and reduce kind of the regular monster aspect of it, and to bring out the cyborg. And I think that was a good idea, and I think it paid off. I think it looks great, but the last thing I want to bring up with Gigan, he has a really interesting personality, and here's what I mean by that. In that he's a freaking traitor and coward. In Godzilla vs. Gigan, he flies away when Ghidorah is getting beaten. In Megalon, he flies away when Megalon's getting beaten. In Final Wars, he gets killed, but he ditches Monster X to fight Mothra with a personal grudge towards Mothra, so I like that. I think I like that idea of him being a coward and traitor. I think that's interesting, and I always like monsters with a distinct personality, so that's my number 4.
Okay, Zazubaar, you're gonna want to cut your wrist after this.
Probably.
Don't really like the Final Wars design of Gigan. Too over the top for my liking.
Really? Because I kind of have that. Well, not really over the top, but I think that that bringing out the cyborg aspect of it, I don't know, kind of makes it a little more realistic.
I thought they did well in the original suit. The thing that would have changed it up for me was if they just added different sound effects to like Gigan's footsteps. Would have fixed everything. You can clearly tell that those patches on him are metal. You can clearly tell that the saw's metal. You can clearly tell that his hooks are metal. I just think that his design on Final Wars is too over the top for my liking. Of course, I would never put Gigan in one of my Godzilla movies, so.
I would if I had the amount of sequels I wanted, but looking at them right now, and both versions look badass to me. I like both, but I do prefer the Final Wars version, but I like them both.
Not me. So my number 4. My number 4 is Biollante.
Oh.
Biolante's cool.
Greatest description ever.
Well, he's a friggin' plant, or she's a plant. Of course, I changed her origins quite a bit in my story. But, Biolante's cool. She's a mixture of a plant and Godzilla. It sounds really lame, but it's not lame. It's awesome. Especially what they do with her. And I love how the fact that her and Godzilla communicate. Because they are literally the same creature. And I think that's one of the coolest things out of any sort of kaiju in this sense, especially with Godzilla, is they are literally the same creature.
I wish they cleaned that up more though in that movie.
Yeah, well, I know I fixed that mistake up in my movie. I do bring that up significantly, that they're not the same creature, but because they are the same species, they are so drawn together, and I just keep bringing it up. I could talk forever about my second Godzilla movie, but I'm not going to, because you would all fall asleep. A lot of techno babble. But the Biollante is just a really freaking badass monster, and I love how her power, her biggest power, is basically atomic pollen. So cool.
She's one of my honorable mentions, to be sure. And I don't know I always like the idea of, I know that this isn't actually what she is, but it's alluded to in Godzilla vs. Biollante. I like the idea of her being Godzilla's sister. I don't know, I like that idea. Is it goofy? A little bit, but I like it. I think it's a cool idea. She's one of my honorable mentions, and it's mainly because I'm a sucker for things that are related to Godzilla's origin, so that's why she's up there for me. And also just really cool looking in both forms.
Yeah. So, on to number 3. Gorizard, go for it.
Oh boy, we're about to scrap right now, but my number 3 is Gigan. back to Gigan, but Chopper is gonna get pissed right now because I prefer the Final Wars design of Gigan. Fight! There's just two words to describe the Gigan, both the original and Final Wars Gigan. Fucking badass. Wait, never mind. Those are
3. Glad to say we can count.
What was the conjunction?
Sorry. My grammar's wrong. Anyways, Gigan is just pure badass. I mean, he is definitely one of my favorite Godzilla enemies of all time. He's really up my top 5 ever. So, yeah. My first Godzilla movie was Godzilla vs. Gigan, so yeah, you hurt my feelings, Chopper. But yeah, when I first saw Gigan, I thought this was a really cool fucking monster, and of course I also said Godzilla was really cool too. So I was impressed with that.
Speak up, Gorizard.
Alright, my bad. Anyways, Gigan. They should just change his name from Gigan to Badass. That's what he is.
I don't know if they can sell that one. I don't know if they can sell that one.
Yeah, but
Godzilla versus Badass. The first thing I would look for when looking at the credits is where's Michael Bay's name?
There would be a Toro's book.
I always thought Godzilla's most violent enemy. Because in the original Godzilla vs. Gigan, he tried to chop Godzilla's head off. When I was a little kid, I thought that he just cut out his eye, because near the end of the film you can't even see Godzilla's right eye. I always thought that he just cut that eye out, but I later found out that the suit was falling apart, so that must have fell off too, and it was covered by blood. Gigan, I love Gigan, both the original and the Final Wars version, but I prefer the Final Wars design because, come on, you have the swords, you have a chainsaw, you finally have the eye laser, which is never used for the original Gigan.
It was supposed to. I think they ran out of budget.
Yeah, probably. And the design, Chopper may find it over the top, but I just find it, perfect. If you're going to update Gigan for the modern age, that's exactly how you update Gigan. They just really made Gigan look from cool to badass with the Final Wars design.
Well, the one thing I will say that they got right on the Final War suit is I love the coloration more on the Final War suit than the original.
And that's one of the things I love about it too.
He looks less like a chicken as original.
Hell yeah! I mean, even the friggin' info on Sci-Fi said Godzilla and his friend Anguirus pins himself against a 3-headed dragon and a giant black metal chicken.
Yeah. He looks more alien-like in Final Wars, and opposed to his chicken thing in the original film.
I love how he's still laughing about this.
That's beautiful. So, yeah. My number 3 is Gigan. I just love this kaiju all the way. Definitely one of my favorite Godzilla nemesis.
Otherwise known as Badass.
Yeah. Call him badass. That's what he is.
So he is, I agree.
Just like change Megan Fox's name to Princess Fine Ass already.
Fucking right. Not arguing with you there.
I did some more movies that way.
Zazubaar! Guess what? Guess what, Zazubaar?
What?
It's your turn.
Is it?
It's your turn.
My number 3.
It's late at night, people. Cut us some slack.
What?
See, it's late at night. Cut us some slack.
Oh, it is. It's 12:30. Anyway, my number 3 is Rodan. Adam, you said pretty much everything I wanted to say earlier, so I'll keep this brief. Rodan's original movie is one of my favorite non-related Godzilla Kaiju films ever. I just think it steps up the horror angle of the genre, and Rodan's a big part of that. I like how he's very mysterious, and you don't get to see much of him at first. Excuse me. And I like his rivalry with Godzilla later, and on top of that, he's just really freaking cool looking. So, not much to say except that he's cool looking, and I like his rivalry with Godzilla. And I like how he comes out to be one of the more tragic monsters in the Godzilla franchise, with him losing his mate. Of course, they both died in the original the original Rodan film, but they brought him back in Kaiju the Three-Headed Monster. I don't know how they explain what their explanation for that is, but it's cool. I like that about him. He's one of the more tragic Godzilla monsters. And I also just love his name, Rodan. It sounds really cool. So, not much to say about Rodan, except it's really freaking cool looking.
I would also like to notice, you brought up that sort of fear aspect of Rodan. I would also like to know, they do this in the Japanese version of Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, not in the English version. But in the Japanese version, where Godzilla makes his first appearance to destroy the boat, all you hear is Rodan flying. You never see him.
Yep.
And so, the English version, they show Rodan appearing. In the Japanese version, they don't. Which I like better. That they leave him like he's in the shadows waiting to, beat the living shit out of Godzilla, which, to be frank, he does.
Yeah. I also like how that's the reason Godzilla shows up, is to fight Rodan.
Yeah. My guess is that he doesn't like the supersonic wave that he creates or something. I don't know. We could go on forever about Rodan in that movie, but
yeah. Oh, well, he's a really cool monster, and he's my number 3.
My number 3, King Ghidorah. My number 3 is King Ghidorah. He's cool.
Is that it?
Pretty much it. No. The thing is, I know it's on your list coming up.
Indeed.
So it's like I don't want to say anything. I don't think I am going to say anything about King Ghidorah other than he's badass. He's fucking badass. And the first time that we see Ghidorah in Ghidorah the Three-Headed Monster, one of the greatest scenes ever. Akira Ifukube's music on that scene explains everything that I like about King Ghidorah. It's slowly building up, and then when you finally see him, all of a sudden the music just reaches that high point. And it's awesome. And then the evacuation scene later is followed by Akira Ifukube's sort of very violent, violin-esque string music. And people are freaking out. I mean, people freak out when they see Godzilla and Rodan fighting, but this is a three-headed dragon that spits lightning out of its mouth and it can fly and has no arms and two tails. And for some reason has patches of hair on the back sides of his head. Which, actually, I want to ask you guys, what is your opinions on that? Because I personally like the hair.
I never thought much about it. I thought it was just there.
They remove it in the Heisei King Ghidorah.
Yeah, and if I was to have Ghidorah in my Godzilla series, I would have hair there. I mean, I personally like the hair.
I personally never noticed it. I'm not going to say much about King Ghidorah right now because he's coming up. Yeah, I don't know. The hair itself, it looks a little goofy, but again, I say who cares. If nothing else, it's a distinct characteristic of him. Not a lot of giant monsters have hair.
Right. Badass monster. Friggin' badass monster. Okay, so Gorizard, number 2, go.
Number 2. Oh.
Speak up, Gorizard.
My number 2 is King Ghidorah. Yeah.
What a surprise.
I mean, come on, he's King Ghidorah.
I know, right?
In my opinion, he's hands down Godzilla's greatest nemesis ever. It doesn't matter, which new monster they create. King Ghidorah to me will always be Godzilla's best nemesis. He's basically like the Darth Vader of Godzilla.
Lex Luthor of Godzilla.
Dr. Doom of Godzilla.
Indeed.
Green Goblin to Godzilla.
We could go on all night.
Yeah, but basically, King Ghidorah is the main one, the main villain to Godzilla, because I think he's appeared in the most.
Yes, I believe he is the most reoccurring villain.
Yeah. And that's due to his increasing popularity with the fans. I mean, because, come on, he's King Ghidorah. How can you not like him?
It is. It's true. It's King Ghidorah. And, Godzilla's the king of the monsters, but then all of a sudden we have King Ghidorah. He has king in his name. Godzilla doesn't even have king in his name. And then I would also like to mention just how badass he is in GMK. I mean, he's a good guy in GMK, but he's freaking badass.
Yeah.
I like the design of the King Ghidorah from the 1991 film.
That's my favorite version of him.
They finally give him like some sort of a facial expression. He just looks mad in that film.
I'd be mad too if I had 3 heads.
You shut up! No, you shut up! No, I shut up!
No, I want to fly to the left. No, to the right. All right, fine. We're flying straight. Just fly straight.
So that's my number 2.
It's such a great pick. And I have to agree with you that the 91 design is overall my favorite. But if they had the hair behind his head, it would have been even better, in my opinion. But
do they have it in GMK?
No, they don't have the hair in GMK. I think the one in GMK looks good. The one in GMK looks like it's supposed to be a hero.
Yeah, I like that about it too. It looks kind of like the Noble Dragon version. I'm going to talk about Ghidorah later. I'm going to talk about him later.
I wonder what number it is.
I wonder. My number 2, on the other hand, is indeed Robo-Godzilla, Mecha-Godzilla.
Oh, you son of a bitch!
The bionic monster. Mecha-Godzilla, below one other one, is indeed Godzilla's true antithesis. I mean, put Mecha in front of anyone's name and pit them against it, and that's just cool. For me, Mechagodzilla, no matter what version of him or what role he plays in a story, he's always interesting. I always like, the reasons behind and just how you oppose him with Godzilla, whether or not Godzilla's the good guy or the bad guy, and therefore Mechagodzilla's role. And I always find it interesting to see the reasons for his creation behind each role. When he's a villain, he's created to be above Godzilla, be the true king of the monsters, and I think that kind of threatens Godzilla a little bit. And I also like how he's the main weapon that aliens think to use in order to kill Godzilla. I think that's it's a step above some other aliens who decide, I'm just going to bring another monster in to kill Godzilla and pray he wins, when, hey, why don't we just create a robot version of him? Anyone ever think of that? I always like that about him. My personal favorite Mechagodzilla is indeed the 1993 Mechagodzilla. I know I'm in the minority on that one. I talked about this in Chopper Miner's Godzilla chat. For me, he looks the most like the Godzilla he was fighting in that film. And he's also got my most favorite weapons of all the Mechagodzillas. I love all the weapons he uses: the Mega Buster, the plasma grenades, the eye lasers in that film, the shock anchor. He remains to be the only monster to ever truly kill Godzilla, and that says volumes about him for me. So I love Mechagodzilla. I love him in every appearance he's in. I love Kaiju too. Kaiju is a whole other beast, though. He's certainly the most tragic of all Mechagodzillas, if that's even possible. and certainly has the most characterization. But my favorite's the 91 Godzilla, Mechagodzilla. Excuse me. 93 Mechagodzilla.
My number 2 is also Mechagodzilla, and you stole nearly everything out of my mouth, except I disagree with you quite a bit on which one's my favorite. The 93 Mechagodzilla design is my least favorite. My favorite one is Kiru. Kiru, in my opinion, has the most cool weapons. The 93 Mechagodzilla is second, and then the 75 Mechagodzilla is third, because it's just a bunch of missiles and rockets.
True.
But, you know, my favorite design, or at least, like, facial design overall, is actually the 75, or 74, 75 design, because, I mean, that one just looks mean. It looks mean and pissed.
My problem with the face looks like a dog.
No, I get that more with the 93 design.
Really?
Yeah, to me that one looks like a friggin' dog. And somebody, actually, good thing we're recording, somebody today was actually asking me, what would your design for Mechagodzilla be? Or what would you use? And I was like, that's a hard thing to say, because I'd have to make it look like my Godzilla. And I don't fully know what my Godzilla looks like. I can say this, though. My Mechagodzilla design would have the eyes from the 75 one. The overall body would look, probably, if you're going to say anything, like the Kiru one. But it would have a mixture of weapons from all of them. Like, I love the toe, finger, and knee missiles given in the 75 one.
I love how on the top it is.
Yeah. And, may I just say its appearance, it's Mechagodzilla's first appearance, is one of the most epic scenes ever.
Oh, yeah.
He's just a badass monster, and as Zazubaar said, he truly is. He's the only monster to kill Godzilla. And just him killing Godzilla really is like, it's got to be at least on your top 5. Mechagodzilla is truly, I think, everything that... Mechagodzilla is the opposite of Godzilla. It truly is.
Especially in Godzilla against Mechagodzilla.
Yes, definitely. He's the anti-Godzilla. So,
I like that scene where he bumps into Godzilla to save those kids at the hospital.
Yeah. But, so that's my number 2. So, Gorizard, what is your favorite Godzilla monster?
Whoops. I may have cheated on this, but my number 1 is the GMK Godzilla. I thought we were talking about all monsters, including Godzilla. So I just add GMK Godzilla to my number 1.
Oops.
Yeah, whoops. Because I cheated.
Cheater.
Cheater.
Yeah, but
Go to the principal's office.
No, send him to the dungeon.
Burn him! Burn him!
Burn the witch!
I'm a Highlander, I can't die.
Damn, I always thought that about you. That and you were a werewolf.
Well, you see, I just figured, you know, Godzilla's the automatic number 1.
Yeah, I thought that was the point.
Oh, well, I'm... Sorry.
Alright, cool, and this makes this easier. No.
No, I'm looking forward to defending my number 1.
If you exclude Godzilla from my number 1 and just talk about its enemies, then my number 1 would just be King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
I guess since we know my number 1, who's next?
Yeah. So, Zazubaar, you're number 1.
My number 1 is
I wonder what it is.
Good night. Yeah, my number 1's Gabara. Good night. Now, my number 1 favorite Godzilla monster immediately has to be King Ghidorah. You know, King Ghidorah, me and Gorizard were kind of throwing back references to comics before. King Ghidorah is Godzilla's true arch nemesis. And with any hero or protagonist or main character, even, you need an antagonist or true antithesis. And for me, me, that's King Ghidorah. I said Lex Luthor before, and as comparing him, and for me that is true because as Lex Luthor is to Superman, Lex Luthor is the brains. Power comes with the mind, while Superman is power comes with the body, and that's of course two very good things to confront each other. And for me, Godzilla and King Ghidorah have a very similar relationship. It's not quite as obvious, but for me, King Ghidorah comes from space. Godzilla was born of man. Of course, that's kind of changed in Godzilla vs. King Ghidorah from 1991, but I like that as being the original idea. That's one of the things that always stuck with me. But, just also King Ghidorah is twice the size of Godzilla, and he flies, and he shoots lightning, and in some versions, like in Rebirth of Mothra, he's powered by the sun. That's true. That truly is antithesis to Godzilla. Just all his battles with Godzilla are epic, and what can I say about King Ghidorah? He is Godzilla's main enemy. And my favorite version of King Ghidorah is indeed the 1991 version. I like the reworking of his origin, and I like the idea of connecting him to Godzilla. I always found that very fascinating. And I also love Mecha King Ghidorah. He's in my honorable mentions, because I didn't really want to put him in there as a number, because he's pretty much the same thing as King Ghidorah, just with a metal head. But he's cool looking, and it's a very original idea to do that. And I also love the idea of kind of taming this unstoppable force that nearly has killed Godzilla on several occasions. So that's King Ghidorah for me.
So, suppose you guys want to know my numero uno.
Gabra, isn't it?
No, it's Kamakiris. I like Kamakiris. He is my all-time favorite one. No, just kidding. No.
Oh, God, thank God. I almost threw up.
My number one is Destroya.
Awesome.
You know why he's my number one? Because Destroya is literally the only monster for Godzilla to have a personal hatred for. And the reason for it is because Destroya succeeds at killing, murdering Godzilla's only son.
Oh, I meant to bring that up, but I forgot. Good call.
He is the only monster for Godzilla to truly have a personal hatred for. Because, normally the other monster attacks Godzilla first. That's usually how it seems to be working. Except in...
Yeah.
Normally that's how it works. But this one, no. Fuck no. Godzilla knows that Destroya killed his son, therefore Godzilla is going to seek out... I'm thinking of Taken here. I'm thinking of Liam Neeson's line. I will find you. I will hunt you down. I will find you. And I will kill you.
If Destroyer was to be turned into a human, he should be played by Liam Neeson.
Well, I was going to say Godzilla would be Liam Neeson in that. Well, Liam Neeson would be Godzilla in that movie, but
That's what I meant. Sorry.
So true.
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris.
The only one who could beat Chuck Norris is Bruce Lee and Liam Neeson.
Right. I don't know, Christopher Lee is right up there too.
Being played by an older Bruce Lee.
But I mean, seriously, look at Destroya. He looks like the devil. He's so mean looking. Every single form that Destroya takes, he looks like he's ready to just kill everything. Which is really what he was born to do. I mean, he was born of the Oxygen Destroyer, and the Oxygen Destroyer was meant to kill everything. So,
you brought up Kaiju before, and I always liked that connection to Godzilla too. That was the thing that killed his ancestor.
Right. And just wow, Destroya. Everything about Destroya, I absolutely love. Again, I remember hiding behind the couch when the final form of Destroya showed up, because it scared me that much. And may I just say that's one of the most epic one of the most epic shots in in Godzilla history. You just see a silhouette, and then all of a sudden, random lightning strikes behind him, and you just see him for the first time, and then flames reveal his face. For some reason, it reminds me of Godzilla's first appearance in Terra Mecha Godzilla. But I'm wondering if maybe that was a reference or not. But definitely, my God, Godzilla vs. Destroya is the way how the Godzilla series should have ended. Godzilla vs. Destroya is my third favorite Godzilla movie. To me, Godzilla vs. Destroya is it's a breathtakingly good movie. It's a breathtakingly good movie. There's no other way to describe it. And Destroya is so awesome. So I guess that's all I have to say about Destroya. Not Destroya.
I have to agree with everything you said.
So, awesome list.
Yeah, indeed.
So you want to just throw out some honorable mention names? Just a couple of them. Like, we don't even need to go in any order. Just be like, blah, yeah, I like that monster. Blah, blah, yeah, that monster's cool. I like this monster. Oh, I hate that monster. So fuck you too.
Fuck you all!
I mean, one monster that I'd have to throw in my honorable mention is Orga.
Yeah.
For me, Orga's appearance was just too brief for me to put him on this, so I couldn't do it. But I could have thrown the UFO on there just to tilt some heads.
or the in-between version.
Right.
Which was freaking disgusting.
Yeah, I know. So gross.
But certainly memorable.
Oh, you know what I should have put as my number one?
What?
Gamera.
You know, I should put as my number one.
What?
That giant sea louse from Godzilla 1985.
Fuck yeah, you should have.
So I pretty much got all my honorable mentions, but I guess if I wanted to bring up one more, oh my God, there was one I meant to bring up that I forgot.
Well, my number one honorable mention would have to be Mothra.
Oh, Batra.
Oh yeah, Batra's cool.
I love Batra.
I like Batra. Batra cool. Anything else you guys want to say?
Well, here's mine. Kaiser Ghidorah.
Love Kaiser Ghidorah.
Mothra. Anguirus. Batra. Space Godzilla. Megalon. Titanosaurus. Pandora. And Baron.
Yeah. In fact, I'm getting in a fight with somebody. I'm getting in a fight with somebody on YouTube because they think that my Varan and my Godzilla and King Kong thing is really, really stupid and unnecessary. And I'm starting to get annoyed with Varan now. You see, that's my issue with Varan. Varan is good on his own movie and nothing else.
Ironically, that's not even like one of the greatest kaiju movies ever made.
Well, it has Varan, one of the weakest stories ever, but definitely some of the best visual effects by Eiji Tsuburaya and some of the best music I've ever heard from Akira Ifukube.
Yeah, I love the main theme from Varan. Excuse me.
What I find funny is that Varan's theme winds up evolving into Rodan's theme.
Yeah, but I love how it's like done with like kind of that operatic singing as we were talking about in our Avatar review.
Right. Well, it's done more with like a choir more than the operatic.
Well, yeah, that's what I meant.
The poetic singer.
Can we talk about something that's on my mind?
Sure.
Sure.
I want to know why Chopper hates Godzilla Final Wars.
Okay.
Everybody hide.
Okay. I hate Godzilla Final Wars because the plot is completely bullcrap. The monster designs are bullcrap. The visual effects are horrible. Horrible. What else can I say? Oh yeah. Even the Japanese acting sucks. The only good actor in the movie, and this is saying something, is Don Fry. I watched the movie just because of him. He's awesome.
I like Ozaki.
It's bullshit. The entire movie is complete bullshit, and I understand why people say, "Oh, you got to turn off your mind for that." But you know, we're past the 70s. We are no longer as hyped up on LSD and jumping off of buildings as we were. Now it's heroin, but the movie is complete crap, and the fact that they could take down Ebera with only like a couple guys with these weird laser machine guns is ridiculous and stupid. I hate the Godzilla design. Godzilla design makes me want to cringe every time I look at it. It's my least favorite Godzilla design. I hate the Anguirus design. I hate Kamakiris. I hate Spyga. I hate Well, I don't hate Gigan. Kaiser Ghidorah kind of annoys me because he doesn't look enough like King Ghidorah for my liking.
I agree with that.
The alien plot is completely ridiculous. What else was I going to say? May I just say that the alien plot is V all over.
That's true. That's a fair criticism. I liked originally that the intention was sort of peaceful.
No.
I like that about it.
Yeah, but I don't like.
And I would be lying if I said I didn't like the alien villain. I like how over the top he is.
Yeah, I don't like him. I think he's stupid. Really, really stupid. It's so. To me, the movie's actually boring. There are so many action scenes in this movie that it's like I just start falling asleep. I am sick of watching those type of movies. The one scene in the movie where I actually found myself paying attention and cheering is when Godzilla blows the crap out of Zilla.
That's the best scene.
Oh, fuck yeah.
Oh, no, for sure.
It's screaming everything that we hate about the 98 movie. The only thing that would have added to that scene is if Godzilla turned around and took a shit all over its fried carcass.
No, if like Rowan Emmerich made a cameo and died.
Hell yeah. I mean, there is some things that I will say that are pretty good in it. It makes a lot of references that I actually like especially how on the radio they're listening to the Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla music. That's funny.
I always like that too.
And Godzilla's first appearance in the movie is awesome, but for me, the suit just ruins the entire scene. I don't like how Katango is used. I hate the soundtrack. Hate it. I think the directing style is all over the place. Like, there's no cohesive style. Do you want me to continue, or is that just...
Yes.
Okay, you want me to continue? Okay.
I got all night.
I gotta go to bed, guys.
Me too. Okay, well, I can continue. The plot... Okay, I'm going to start complaining about the plot. It is a remake to Destroy All Monsters, but at least Destroy All Monsters was entertaining. This movie, it makes no sense. It's not even in any continuity, so that just screws everything up. The idea of these super people, to me, is just absolutely mentally retarded.
It is an X-Men ripoff for sure.
Yes, definitely, it's an X-Men ripoff. They couldn't even get the Japanese acting right. I hate it. I hate this movie. This movie and Godzilla's Revenge are my two least favorite Godzilla movies, and they are the only Godzilla movies that I will give a 1 out of 4 stars.
The same feelings you have for Final Wars are almost like the same feelings I have for Drive.
Which one?
Drive.
Okay, now that we're completely off topic, I guess I should end the video, shouldn't I?
Okay.
Are we still recording?
Yeah, we're still recording.
Oh, okay.
Well, bye. Bye, guys. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like the video, subscribe to these two, even though Gorizard7 is about to get booted off again. And, sayonara.